everybody, Rabid Hedgehog here, and this is going to be kind of a, how do you put this, housekeeping style moto vlog. And that's because I am announcing a change to the setup. Now, on a lot of videos that I've used recently, I've been using my GoPro Hero 4 Silver edition, and that particular setup was used for probably 3 years, using the Sony Bluetooth backpack to either a 10S and or 20S Sony unit. I think every once in a while an SMH10, depending on how far back it was, because I had everything for quite a while. So when I first started this channel, I used the Sony AS100V, and its live remote was usually on my left and or right arm to control the camera, and it's set off to the side and all that because of the way the Sony profile is versus the GoPro. So with that being said, the GoPro went on the front of the helmet, right on the chin area, and basically I had to do everything with the buttons on the GoPro because I didn't have the remote for them, and that's no big deal and all, but it was one of those things where I didn't always like the quality of the GoPro video. I mean, in technicality, it had a better resolution than what the AS100V did, but the AS100V had a very good stabilization system on it. Even though it was a digital stabilization, it still took away a lot of the shake out of a video, which was quite amazing actually for its time for an action cam, because how small it was. But it did crop out some of the video. It didn't go as wide when it was in that mode, but it still looked overall very good. The colors looked better, better dynamic range on a Sony, so you could see more blue sky, you could see more of the horizon, more shadow effect, more, you know, just better overall picture. So I am now returning back. As you can see on my handlebar, I have the remote there for the Sony FDR-X3000. So that means I have returned to the Sony Action Cam. And if you shall notice, yes, it does sit on the front of the helmet, just like the GoPro. However, it is longer, that's for sure. One thing about the GoPro is I actually could never see it when mounted on the front of my helmet. I knew it was there, but I couldn't actually see any of it. This one, you definitely can see it because of how much longer it is. But the whole thing is that doesn't really bother me at all. It's actually, you know, mounts up pretty good. It doesn't weigh too much more than the GoPro with a Sony backpack on there and everything, so it doesn't cause as much issue. And that way, you kind of get used to the whole idea. Now, the one thing is on the Sony, this one does have something the GoPro does not, and that is a built-in 3.5mm jack. Now, that's been a thing about GoPro the whole time, is that it does not have a built-in microphone port whatsoever, no matter what generation or what model it was. And back in the Hero 4 days, you basically literally just bought a small inline USB adapter to 3.5mm. Nowadays, you have to buy a big old box adapter that fits into the USB. That's been causing so much headache for so many people. I know some people have got it to where they mount it on front and then they tape it to the back or they tape it to the side of the helmet, but they still have to find a place to put this ginormous box to do microphones on it. And the other thing that they did with the GoPros is that they took away the two things on the back, the expansion port and the little clip on the back, so that something could fit on it, and that's why the Sony backpack no longer works with the Hero 5.6. So being that that's what the issue has been, compatibility doesn't exist anymore, I decided that it was time to do a complete change back over to the Sonys, which I really did enjoy using them at the very beginning part of the moto vlogs. Everything was on the side, everything was a little different at that time. But now I've adapted this FDR-X3000 to the same position as the GoPro. Now for my audio though, I have changed that as well. Instead of using the Sony backpack, which I've been using forever and ever, and there's been some issues with that too. First off, multiple talkers could not be heard very well at all. So if there's multiple people on the communicator channel, you really could not truly hear them very well, and there was a lot of complaint regarding that. And also you couldn't hear the bike as well. There's a few things that came out. Now what was interesting is that through the 10S you could hear more wind noise and more bike, but through the 20S it was almost darn silent except for a voice. So I've been testing different options, even with the GoPro, and in fact, if you watch my M90 review, the Suzuki M90 review, you will see that that's a different audio source from the GoPro, and that is actually correct. That is not a Sony Bluetooth backpack to GoPro. That is a Sony digital recorder and two Purple Panda lavalier microphones, which is currently what I'm using right now. So I'm using a separate audio source so that way I can have better audio quality and better source for my audio, and also I can control gain. One thing about the inline adapter for GoPro, for the old ones, or the box adapter, or even just the Sony's 3.5mm jack, is that there is no way to control microphone gain. So with that being said, buying a digital recorder actually allows you to do that. You can control the gain and how loud it really is, and that way you can get better, clearer voice, less wind, and other factors, but you can still hear some of the ambient, like you can hear the motorcycle as it's being rode. You can hear the ambience around you, and that way you kind of have more of an experience of a motorcyclist than you would just with the Sony Bluetooth backpack audio. So that's what I'm changed back over to, is separate. Well, this is new because the Sonys I use, the old Sonys I use, my 3.5mm, and that particular microphone back then was actually a modified chatterbox microphone. So I used that for years and years and years, and it kind of got to the point where that no longer was very good. And it's interesting too that the the way this thing sounded too, or the way they sounded back then, was always muffled, a little bit windy, but they did what they did back then, and it started the channel. And you know, I appreciated the Sonys for that time period. I still appreciate them now. I mean, the other thing about the FDR X3000, this bad boy can actually go 4K, and that's what I'm shooting in right now, and that will match the Panasonic handheld camera that I have that can do 4K as well. So that's the good news, is that we have the ability to do 4K on both helmet and with wow, this is all throwing me off. But you can do 4K on both the helmet and the handheld, and that way you don't have to try to upscale or anything, which is what I have been doing with the GoPro recently, is upscaling the whole system, and that way it will match the 4K, and that's where I've been getting the 4K videos from. So we all know that upscaling doesn't help quality at all, so it's going to be nice to just be able to flat do 4K to 4K and get some good quality images and have a good time filming and not have much of an issue. So that's the great news. New changes, updated everything. So this is all possible. Come on, people, can you learn to drive today already? Anyway, so at any rate, that's just kind of the announcements. We are upgrading everything. The good news is, like I said, I've updated the cameras and everything, and all that is made possible through Teespring sales. I did get enough there to update the camera to be able to purchase the digital recorder that's in the pocket, and also through some of the revenue, I was able to get the Purple Pandas, and also through teammates as well, the Purple Pandas came through. So we were able to purchase all the new equipment, so that way everybody who's going to be on the channel should have their audio up and running here soon. And because everything is Sony, I'm going to have the Sony AS100V still in action slowly but surely. As more Teespring, Patreon, and other things kick on, we will have other things added too, and that way we all have the same cameras, same everything, so that way I don't have to play upscale, or there's different qualities in video and all that fun stuff. So at any rate, This is the Rabid Hedgehog. Thanks for riding with me today. We'll catch you on the next one.